Welcome to episode 278 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the Falling and Wrecking edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host. And as always, I'm with the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Doing great, Phil. Of course, glad to be back on the show for another week, and ready to talk about all the action that happened this weekend, especially at Watkins Glen, and ready to talk about SVG possibly becoming the next great driver here in the Cup Series if he already isn't.
He's one of the top 5 greatest road racers in the history of the Cup Series, just by winning 4 races this year. It's really like right now. You think about the top, and we'll get into it shortly when we get into the NASCAR portion. His doppelganger took a dive off his car after winning in another XFinity race, and Connor Zilisch, broken collarbone. He's going to have to Davey Allison it in a couple of weeks at Daytona, I think he already had one waiver. I don't know how it works if he can ask for multiple waivers, but I'm also of the belief he's going to probably, if he can just start the car, they can go 5 laps down, whatever, pull him out the car. They're going to get points. They're not going to win the regular season, so that'll lose them the 15 playoff points. But yeah, we'll get into all that with what happened with Connor Zilisch in the Xfinity race, which was destructive to a lot of smaller teams. The Truck Series, same, was absolute joke. Corey Heim wins, which is not the norm for him. He figures out ways to choke, but in this case he didn't. Ran, I think, 45 laps on a tank of fuel, which is insane, or whatever the hell it was, because they had so many yellows. So that was all on the NASCAR side at the Glen. You had a 15-year-old winning the ARCA Series on debut, so it just makes me feel really old. And then, of course, somebody who, in terms of legend status, Alex Palou is now a 4-time IndyCar champion, 3 consecutive IndyCar championships for the driver of the number 10 DHL Honda for Cheap Ganassi Racing. Winch Power gets his first win of 2025. Chevy's actually got the first 2 there. So in a year where Honda's dominated, it was a good weekend for Chevy. Lundgaard getting the pole, then having to give it up because of the engine penalty. So we'll get into all that. Talk about NFL training camp, fantasy football. The Fall Brawl League is back and better than ever. And we will be drafting this weekend, so we will talk about how we feel about our teams next week on episode 279, hopefully, unless something changes here on my end, which is entirely possible with certain news going on. But roundup, very short and sweet. Supercars last week at Ipswich, Indy next at Portland. And then there will be MotoGP and all the other assorted classes at Red Fool Ring, and then NHRA is back. They'll be at Brainerd. NASCAR Cup and Trucks will be at Richmond this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday show. Josh will let us know all things going on iRacing, gaming, and sim segment, and then we'll call it a day. So let us get into the IndyCars at Portland, which the BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland. Will Power started 3rd, led 78 of the race's 110 laps, and won. The second person who led the second most laps was Pato O'Ward, but then he had engine and other technical issues, which left him 25th. So at that point, it didn't really matter. Palou just had to finish, and that would be the end of the championship, and he finished 3rd. So the results of this race on Sunday: Will Power, Christian Lundgaard, who won the pole overall, but had to start 7th because of the engine penalty, 6th place grid penalty. Alex Palou was 3rd. Green Hall was the biggest mover on the day. Started 22nd, finished 4th. 4-stop strategy for Green Hall. Daddy needs to afford new shoes, I guess, because they're expecting their 3rd child. He's gotten some sort of fire up his ass. Alexander Ross, Callum Ilott from 24th to 6th with the Prema team, so credit to them. Scotty McLaughlin 11th to 7th. The Meyer Shank teammates, Armstrong, Rosenquist, and then Colton Herta rounding out your top 10. Scott Dixon started 9th, finished 11th. David Malukas had a rough day, finished a lap down in 19th. Kirkwood right behind him, who had a bad weekend. Ericsson started 10th and finished 22nd, so consistent with what he's done most of the year. Root Beer Floathead, after winning the pole there last year, was buried in qualifying and then had a wreck on the first lap. And then Connor Daly got absolutely destroyed by Christian Rasmussen, and then because of IndyCar's stewarding, nothing happened to Christian Rasmussen. And I have no problem with Christian Rasmussen. I do think he's really, really good, but he wasn't really good on Sunday, and that was just egregious. It's almost like fish lips level, driving standard, which I guess has become the new norm, which is where all these young drivers think they can run over people and it's okay. It's a bad precedent. Connor Daly getting destroyed. I mean, granted, their road course program is terrible, so it's not like he was going to do much, but to get sent at a high rate of speed is not good. It's not a good look for anybody, and it's I mean, there's a couple of angles here. I mean, Will Power, who was talking in the past tense about his Penske career, essentially saying that he's done, which at Penske, which is sad to say in a sense, but also you look at the history of Penske, whether it's Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser Jr., Elio, Juan Pablo Montoya, all those guys, veteran drivers, accomplished, won Indy 500s for the captain, and they still were told, yeah, you have to move aside. And so now we're on that, on one of the worst years for Penske ever in IndyCars, probably going back to the late 90s for the last time they were this off and out of it. Power goes and gets that victory, huge win. He's going to be a sought-after free agent by a lot of teams that have an opening. I'm not sure who does have an opening at this point, really, to be fair. There's that angle, and then, of course, Alex Palou becoming a 4-time champ. They talked to Dario Franchitti during the warm-up session the day before, and, I've been a fan of Dario Franchitti for years, and I thought what he did when he won those 3 championships in a row was pretty good, pretty damn good, and pretty crazy. And I think he could have won even more. He had such a great kinship with that team that they had a great connection. Well, I guess whatever that was has moved to Alex Palou, and it's gone exponentially farther. I don't know. We could probably talk about both, Josh, but Will Power getting a win, dominating on a road course, which for many years was the norm, and then the guy that finished 3rd, which is the bigger story. An unbelievable year for Alex Palou. Still 2 races to go, possibly to go and win a couple more races to win 10 races in a year. But even if he doesn't win another race this year, it's one of the great years in IndyCar history.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for Palou, it's a historical season. Winning 8 races, winning the Indy 500, capturing his 4th title. And he's only been in the series since 2020. So it's just been an incredible run for him ever since he stepped into the number 10 car at Chip Ganassi Racing there. So, obviously didn't win here on Sunday though, but of course Pato Award with slim title hopes, having a faulty electrical problem with the black box causing them to fall off the track and go to the garage for a bit and lose laps there. Unfortunate deal there, but and at the time of that happening, he was at least in position to draw it out another race, but Pato of course had that issue, and from there, I mean, it was very slim anyways, and it could have just naturally happened on the track anyways. But yeah, Palou effectively won the title once that happened there, which I'm pretty sure was just inevitable anyways at that point. So, I mean, for IndyCar, I mean, the championships in the past have all been fairly competitive going down to the last race, at least mathematically speaking. But Palou was so good this year that he wraps it up 2 races early. So it's just been his kind of year, and have to give him and his team a lot of credit for what they've been able to accomplish there. But yeah, on Sunday though, of course, a lot of good racing there at the end between him, Christian Lundgaard, who was able to defend and keep the second place position there at the end of the race, and trying to ultimately try to catch up to Will Power there. So that was ending of that race was fairly interesting to watch, and a lot of, I think, good racing, especially between the McLaren of Lundgaard there and Palou. So I mean, for Will Power, like you mentioned, it's kind of a trend, as you mentioned. I mean, also Simon Pagenaud, Indy 500 winner, of course, ends up getting phased out eventually when they downsized from 4 to 3 cars there after 2020. So it is a trend there, and it is, I guess, if you're a veteran at Penske, I mean, Newgarden, eventually this might happen to him as well. I mean, even after winning back-to-back deals there at the Indy 500, he'll be maybe in like 10 years or so, if they're still around and everything, like, could see him, shown the door eventually. And I'll say, granted, I mean, at least for Montoya and for Elio Castroneves, I mean, at least they weren't like completely getting let go. They went to the sports car program over in IMSA, but still, and they still did have a guaranteed ride at the Indy 500, at least for the next couple of years. But I mean, as far as full-time IndyCar goes, they were all still capable for the most part, and they all, I guess, eventually get shown the way out. And worst season at Penske and everything. And I guess everybody's, the rumors are all strongly saying that David Malukas is going to get that car next year. So, I mean, it makes sense with the Penske connection to Foyt now. So, definitely, think that that's more than likely that probably will happen. At this point in, Malukas has definitely shown that he's capable. So, we'll see, if that, ends up being the case there. But, it seems like with, all the changes that happened at Penske this year, potentially letting go of another driver or a veteran driver here, I mean, it's definitely 2026 can be a very different chapter, sort of turning over a leaf for Penske in a sense for that team. So, we'll see, that change, what ends up coming out of that. And, next year, if they're able to kind of show the Penske that, we're kind of used to seeing and not what we saw this year with embattled and controversy and, all sorts of different things other than winning races there. So, I mean, this race was definitely interesting to watch, of course, and of course, like you mentioned, Christian Rasmussen, who also, in addition to getting into Connor Daly there as they were battling it out on the track, he also kind of ran off Newgarden as well, or didn't give him room. Newgarden was trying to overtake him at one point, and he did, but Christian Rasmussen there didn't give him a whole lot of room there. So, another example there, and I guess definitely bad race in terms of driving standards for him and everything. And you'd like to think that would get policed, that kind of stuff, especially in IndyCar. That's yeah, that's something you'd see in NASCAR and stuff. And I mean, yeah, that's not really acceptable there either. But, with, I feel like, IndyCar, especially with, the exposed wheels and stuff like that, and, how hard Connor Daly hit the wall, that was pretty egregious there. So, yeah, that's unfortunate that didn't go penalized there. So, and, with them not taking any action there. But, yeah, I mean, it was definitely it has been the best year in terms of competitiveness here in IndyCar, but we've definitely seen our fair share of winners here over the course of the season. Palou has dominated, but we've seen Pato O'Ward win multiple races. Will Power got back into victory lane finally this season, and we've seen Kyle Kirkwood grab a couple of races as well. So a lot of interesting things that happen here this year. As we go into next, now Fox owns a third of IndyCar now, so we'll see how that influences the series. And good on the drivers when they asked them about potentially going to a playoff format and them all rejecting the idea. So yeah, glad that they all rejected it and held their integrity there in that regard. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Milwaukee. I mean, the floods there, with Milwaukee affecting things. I mean, it seems like they'll be able to recover from that and still hold the race. So glad that's not being affected too greatly or anything like that. But last two races here after multiple road courses, now we have a couple of ovals here to end the year.
Yeah, and it's something, I mean, I guess now there's more intrigue in terms of silly season now. Pato trying to get second in points. Some other battles in terms of the points overall. We can go into that since I mentioned that. And then they don't show leader circle here on the website, which it would be good if they did. But they also have the charter system now, so it also doesn't really. I guess if you are outside of the 24, you don't get certain bonuses. But Alex Palou has a 151-point lead over Pato O'Ward, who in turn has a 49 and 59 and 64. Yeah, 64-point lead on Scott Dixon. Then it's somewhat interesting there. Dixon, Lundgaard, Kirkwood, 24 points separating those three. So still intrigue there. A great battle between 6th through 9th, only separated by 11 points. Power, Rosenquist, Herta, and Armstrong. Malukas 2 points ahead of McLaughlin for 10th in points. And then you have Renus VK in that mix as well, 15 points back in 12th. Root Beer Float had lost a bunch of points. Rasmussen, even though he hit everything but the lottery, as Connor said, 13th in points. Top 5 finisher Ray Hall gets him to 15th. Rossi 16th. There's actually a really good close, less than 20 points separating Rasmussen and Newgarden out. Newgarden's 18th in points. That is insane. Two-time IndyCar champion, two-time Indianapolis 500 champion, 18th in points. Is pretty crazy. Yeah, so that's and then in terms of other, Abel, DeFrancesco, so the 77, because I guess the guys at Prema are not chartered, so the actual number that still probably does count as part of the leader circle. So yeah, the 77, 30, and 51 would be outside. They're there. All those guys are there because they bring checks, so kind of makes sense. So we'll see them at Milwaukee in a couple weeks' time, accordingly. Now, for the Cup Series was the Go Bowling at the Glen, and pardon the terrible bowling pun, but Shane van Gisbergen struck down the whole entire field. He led the most laps, won by 11 point whatever seconds. There was not a caution after the second stage break. He led the last 16 laps of the race. So it's his fourth win of 2025, his fifth win of his career. Adds playoff points to his tally. SVG goes out there, starts second. He lost pole to Ryan Blaney. Blaney led early in the race, led a good amount of the first 50, the better part of the first 53 laps of the race. He led, was it 18 and was it 16 over there? Or 17, yeah. He led two segments for about 35 laps before SVG really took over the race there. You had, SVG, Christopher Bell finishes second, Christopher Buescher third, won stage one, William Byron fourth, piling on the points, adding on to his lead for the 15 playoff points. Chase Briscoe, another top five after starting third, led some laps. Blaney finished sixth after winning stage two. Daniel Suarez, Darrell Walsh Jr., Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain. So all three Trackhouse cars finished in the top 10. The 2311 guys, the two actual 2311 guys finished in the top 10 as well. AJ Allmendinger just outside the top 10. Ryan Preece in his battle to try and make the playoff finished 13th, so he lost ground to Buescher. You got Logano there. Gonna go. Kyle Busch started fifth, ended up 22nd. A bunch of these guys that were in the top 10 to start the day buried 20th and below. Michael McDowell finished 19th. William Clyde Elliott the second started 20th, finished 26th. He was in tailback with Denny Hamlin, who was going nowhere the whole entire day. Brad Keselowski, brutal finish for him. Same for John Hunter. Keebler Gibbs, 33rd. There were 35 cars on the lead lap, and 3 cars 1 lap down. Legg, Balicki, Yaley all open part-time teams, and then Kyle Larson had no brakes and had issues the whole entire day. Cost him any chance of being competitive and buried him in his points chase to possibly win a regular season title. But I mean, the story starts really. I mean, Blaney was there early, wins a stage. You have Buescher in his battle to try and maintain a position in the playoff with the points, but it's Shane Van Gisbergen on a road course. They compared him to the late great Dan Gurney, who has the same number of wins and would do this kind of thing at Riverside every year to start the year for the Wood brothers. I just hear all the guys after he won Chicago a couple of years ago. He just walked in and whooped their ass. Like, that's literally what he's done. Watkins Glen, try and atone for the mistake last year and getting moved by Buescher. Mexico, where it was a new track for everybody and he destroyed. There's only one more road course the rest of the year, but there's been signs of progress for the 88 team on ovals. So with the amount of points they have, with the progress they're making, they're not going to, I'm pretty certain they're not going to be in the championship. I can make a pretty good championship for, they're not getting there. The final 8 is starting to look like there might be a possibility, actually, because the way that the playoff rides, the second round ends with the Roval. So, he has a lot of points to where he could make it just straight on points, but he does have the backup with the road course. And it's crazy to think for a guy who's 25th in points, Josh, that he could be competing for a top 10 spot come, we get to October here. But the guy's a great race car driver. He just is. And Sunday was yet another example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll kind of go off of that with what his chances are in the championship. And the way I see it, he's got enough playoff points to probably point his way. So all you do, point your way through the round of 16, and then round of 12, all you do is just win the Roval, right? And then you're in, and then, now you're in the round of 8. and you got Talladega, and you got Martinsville, and there ain't. I mean, Las Vegas. I mean, he like if you go back to Charlotte, ran okay there. So I don't know. Maybe he goes and somehow like makes it through like Talladega or so. Maybe he wins Talladega somehow. There'll be a coordinated effort between Trackhouse to like push him if he is in the round of 8 to get him out front and get in the lead there. So then he's in the round of 4 and then or championship 4 and then maybe he goes. They're gonna cheat up. I know this is a very outlandish, but this is what I honestly think could happen is, everybody's going to be all cheated up anyways in the Final Four. And, they'll just cheat him up a little more to compensate for his, level of ability compared to guys like Chris Bell, Denny Hamlin, Larson, all those guys. And then he wins the title. There you go. It's said like that, easy 1, 2, 3 there. So easier said than done. But no, I'm very tempted to throw like a $20 bet on the Hard Rock app, which has SVG at plus 2,500 odds to win the title. So, yeah, it's very outlandish, but I'm just tempted to do it. And the reason why I say all this is because the vitriol on social media after the race, people are upset. I think they're misconstruing their upsetness at SVG winning and because of the next gen car issues and stuff like that. I get it. People are upset, but if this were to happen, because everybody's unhappy about the playoffs. All the drivers, all the retired drivers, at least Denny. I think even the people racing. Blaney's said he'd rather have full season, or at least the original Chase. Chase Elliott has kind of echoed the same sentiment there, and all that. You're starting to see people, understanding this is kind of a joke, and fans unhappy and all that stuff. I mean, if SVG somehow won the championship, I mean, man, it's going to be a bloodbath in the fan base in regards to the feelings and thoughts on the playoff format. So there'll be a lot of unhappy people walking out of Phoenix if that were to somehow happen. And man, I'll be here eating the popcorn. That's why I said, because I think it'll just be entertaining. I mean, I want it to see that way because then it'll force NASCAR again to be in an uncomfortable position where if he somehow like point, even through all of that, let's say he probably would have to like get up to like 15th at that point or something to have that much success, but he'd still, probably still be worse than total season points than what Joey Logano had last year, being like 16th or whatever in total points for the entire year, but still winning the championship, and how ridiculous that was. So yeah, I mean, this would be even more ridiculous than that. So that's why I say all of that. But no, I mean, to not take away from his ability. I mean, yeah, he's just really good at road racing right now. I mean, he's the only way really that he hasn't been beaten is through strategy not going his way, which I think that kind of happened at COTA. That was they led laps at COTA, but they just got I guess on the wrong side of things, and ended up not being able to pull through with that. Where Chris Bell, who did finish second in this race, came out front. So I mean, this basically minus SVG, this is basically the same cast of characters that finished in the top 5 at COTA earlier in the year. So SVG is just I think Trackhouse has also figured out something for him on the road courses as well. But he's just dominated, been up front here, and clearly, I mean, he's just better than everybody. I mean, he was able to pace himself behind Ryan Blaney the first stage there. It looked like Ryan Blaney was driving away, and then SVG towards the last couple of laps there in the stage, and before they pitted, he was starting to get closer and stuff, starting to toy with him. And then he backed up to William Byron later on. William Byron burned up his tires and fell back. And Shane goes on to win the race. So, just very good, and just knows how to road race better than anybody else currently in the field. So, it's been quite a run for him here in road racing here in NASCAR, and it's definitely going to elevate him to have some at least to say round of 8. I think that's definitely plausible here for round of 8 for Shane Van Gisbergen. But the rest of the field, you mentioned Larson, brake issue there, still got the fastest laps, so that's going to count for something eventually there, and everything. And then Chase, he had, he was up front, first stage, but then I guess they had a bad pit call and that kind of set them back there. Denny, bad race again on a road course. So William Byron, of course, was up front for it. So looking like William Byron's getting closer to having a regular season title here. You're just gonna have to come down to Daytona more than likely, and not have a problem there and everything. So this race not as chaotic as compared to the Xfinity or the truck race. There's a little bit of action. Ty Gibbs, John Hunter Nemechek got into it and everything, and there wasn't really too much there. There wasn't really, at least TV, it didn't look like there was a lot of passing, but obviously up front SVG dominating. But throughout the field, there was at least some elements of passing, but they just weren't able to really focus in on that, and you had to kind of go back and look at it on the onboards there. But the 17 had to look like he was able to have another good run here at Watkins Glen, Busher, and everything. But SVG, he's just continuing to be dominant. The only way I think you're gonna really beat him is if you send him. If someone's got the balls to send him somehow, which be totally unfair. But they're gonna be like, we can't let SVG get into the round of 8 like this, and send him in turn 1 or something like that at the Roval. But or just have a complete problem or something like engine failing or bad pit call or something like that. But it's definitely plausible that he gets into the round of 8. But I think the real issue here is just the raceability of this car on pretty much any other track other than Charlotte, Kansas, and Las Vegas, and Homestead. So we'll see what they can do to fix this.
I think we did this all these years ago because of No Neck winning 6 races in 2003, Matt Kenseth winning 1, but absolutely mastering what the Lackford system was all about, which maximized top 5s and top 10s, and he, I think, fell out of 2 races the whole entire year, and one of them was the final race of the season. Then they made the original chase format, and they've changed it I don't know how many different times. You would have thought when Matt Crafton won the championship in trucks a few years ago, when he didn't even sniff winning a race, that would have been the place to change it. You had Joey Logano, who was whatever the hell in points last year, not really anywhere, needed 94 green-white checkers at Nashville to win a race, and then he goes and wins his 3rd championship. They didn't change it then. It's the same way as they are with this stupid fucking car, where it's obvious that there's multiple issues with it, especially on short tracks and road courses. Short tracks, road courses, and super speedways. So 3 major cogs of the 4 that make up the Cup Series. And they're not doing anything about it. And you're consolidating how many teams that are in this series too. So it's not like there's that many people that you're selling to, but then you're selling this inferior product. Then you're putting an inferior product on the racetrack. SVG is SVG. The dude is a multi-time V8 Supercar champion, has won in numerous types of cars on road courses. The guy is in his 2nd full year competing on ovals in a stock car. And he's in his mid-30s. The guy's been driving for most of his life. He's one of the best talents that we've seen from abroad, period. And people want to hate it, and that's fine. And I like it too. I get a kick out of it the same way as you do, Josh. The LCD fans losing it about SVG winning every freaking road race. Well, I guess you didn't did you care when Jeff Gordon won every freaking road race for years? Or Tony Stewart won every road race for years? Or even, let's go even further back. And in the old days, when it was either Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace winning road races, or Terry Labonte, it's just the way of NASCAR that there's time, each era is there. Like Marcus Ambrose, amazing at Watkins Glen, could not figure it out at Sonoma. Figured out a way to shut his car off up a hill. Cost himself a race at Sonoma. You know, like AJ Allmendinger has brutal luck at Sonoma, but he's really good at Watkins Glen. You know, like, and the Roval. You know, like an Indy when they had the Indy Road Course too. You know, like it's cyclical in that sense. Is the playoff format flawed? Oh yeah, sure, definitely. Is the car terrible? Absolutely. You would think now that they actually got another OEM finally, that they might correct it a little bit, but I doubt they will. You know, when you have blue collar teams like RCR in there, you can't mess with those teams when they run 20th every fucking week. But yeah, I mean, the SVG piece is one in its own right. There's only one more road race. He's got a lot of points. They can go about strategy a little differently here as we get towards the end of this regular season and then the first round of the playoffs to maximize stage points, which I think would add to their ability to move forward. The playoff format and the cars, its own, those are the bigger problems that exist. We will go to the driver standings. There's only two drivers that have 4 wins, Dennis Hamlin and Shane Van Gisbergen, who is almost 300 points behind Denny Hamlin. That is insane to look at. Wow. And then William Byron is 42 points ahead of Clyde, 81 ahead of Hamlin, 85 ahead of both Bell and Larson. So right now it's basically Clyde versus Byron with 2 races to go in the regular season to determine who'll be that regular season champion. SVG, 25th in points. As I said, only 4 points behind Josh Berry. So Josh Berry, who's been basically holding the bag for a good amount of the season. The bottom fell out after Las Vegas, I guess. They were running pretty good, I think, first couple, 2-3 races of the year, and then they win Vegas, and I don't know what the hell has happened to that team. It's unfortunate, to be fair.
Had bad luck.
Yeah, they've had bad luck. I mean, there's been times where they've really lacked pace. I thought, like, Iowa was a perfect example and I think this weekend is a huge weekend for that Wood Brothers organization. Home race, Virginia, Richmond. It's Josh Berry's best track in a Cup car. He's finished second in a race there. I forget what he did last year in the 4 car. He was up there. He needs to run well this weekend, honestly. They're going to have pace at Daytona because they always make fast cars for Daytona. But he has bad luck on super speedways. So he needs this race to work out well going into the playoff, honestly. Right now, we went through that. Those are the winners. Buescher, 34 points ahead of his teammate, Ryan Preece. Reddick, I think, will lock up. He's pretty assured of locking up a spot with a decent run on Saturday night at Richmond. And then Bowman, I think, the same thing. Basically, he wouldn't lock up a spot because there'd still be an opportunity for another winner. But if there is a new winner on Saturday night, then Reddick still, I think, would still make it anyway. Then the sweat becomes Bowman versus Buescher, which is separated by, 26 points. So that would actually be that would be intriguing. After that, as of now, before an extra winners come in, Preece is still in it, and everybody else has to win a race if they want to make the playoff with 2 races to go. I mean, you got the playoff points I mentioned, because I need to bring up let's see if Racing Reference actually updated theirs. I'd rather look at the Racing Reference. They actually have more detailed statistics. So right now, yeah, we got the playoff points, of course, Hamlin, 24, Larson 23, and SVG 22. If Byron were to get the 15 at the moment right now, that would mean he'd be at 32 points. So give him a small point lead going into the start of the playoff. In terms of top 5 finishes, it surprised me. I was in terms of how good they've been running. Briscoe third or tied for second or tied for third right now. Or no, third alone. Sorry, tied for first is Hamlin and Larson with 11. Briscoe has 10. Then in terms of top 10 finishes, or tied for fifth with a host of drivers, including Clyde, Hamlin, and Blaney, and Buescher. So most poles in terms of laps led. He hasn't led a lot. He has actually. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. 7th in laps led. Average start I mentioned is the best average. In terms of average finish, he's got the third best average finish at the moment. And then running at the finish is a bit of not so good lead lap finishes. He's second in lead lap finishes. So there's a lot good there. I'm not a fan of James Small. I'm still not a fan of James Small, but they're running good. So it's something and someone to look at as we move towards this playoff with 2 races to go. And Richmond is a track that he's been pretty good at over the years. He won the pole for the 500 too, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, the Xfinity Series, Mission 200, Connor Zilisch wins the race, got into SVG going into turn 7 and destroyed the 9 car, and that was really the battle. To be fair, that was basically it. After that, there really wasn't a discussion. You got right there. Connor Zilisch gets the stage 2 win and then wins the race, leads the most laps, 60 of the race's 82 laps. It was so it actually went to the scheduled distance. Mayer second, Sammy Smith third. Hank Hill 4th, Carson Kvapil 5th, so 3 JRM cars in the top 5, 4 in the top 6 with Allgaier. Austin Green with the top 10. So I think you picked him, Josh. So credit to you on your wild card there. I at least got the winner, and there was a possibility that I was going to get the first and second place, but we know what happened, and we'll talk about it. No, I actually picked the winner there. That's nice. IndyCar, we both missed on that, but yeah. Oh well. And trucks, it was a whatever. Eckes from 36th to 8th, so credit to him. Buckshot Jones and Harrison Burton round out your top 10. Allgaier won stage 1 to get an extra playoff point there. Kaz Gralla finished 11th. You got 22 cars ended up on the lead lap, and then you had Sanchez, who was involved in that big wreck that involved Michael McDowell after Hank Hill destroyed him. Took out Sawalich, who was having one of his best runs of the season. Tire came off of the 11, going through the short chute between 5 and 6, or 9 and 10, depending on how you count the corners at Watkins Glen. Took out other guys, including Balicki, Ryan Sieg, Ryan Ellis, and Kyle Sieg. There was the wreck with Sheldon Creed that involved, what was it, Parker Retzloff, I believe. Yeah. That was in the same general vicinity there, so demolished a car there. Thomas Nunziata, Jersey boy, had issues going into turn 6. I think he got stuck in the sand. Herps blew an engine, but that's not surprising. There's definitely a lot of carnage in this race. I mean, the worst carnage was, Connor Zilisch literally getting out of his car and busting his ass. His dad going on Twitter and saying shitting your pants isn't the most embarrassing thing you've done in your life now. Might be one of the sickest burns ever from a dad to his son, who is going to be, who's got legend vibes going, 6 wins on the season, busted collarbone now, got a plate in there, got a couple of weeks. I kind of think like he's going to be doing Davey Allison vibes here circa 1992 to try and maintain a possibility of a regular season title, Josh. But, it wouldn't be a Connor Zilisch race without a lot of action. He got into his teammate, which has become a norm seemingly, has a great celebration that ends up being really bad. He wins in relatively dominant fashion. The guy is box office for sure. And we'll get into the wrecks with Hank Hill and then Retzloff and then some of the other crap that went on shortly. But Connor Zilisch, man, he's sick. And he went on DBC, owned all that other stuff too. So, and give him credit for that. Him and Josh Williams went on the DBC there. So, after what started out as one of the better moments of his short life and became one of his worst moments of his life in quick succession.
Yeah, and for Connor, of course, had surgery today and had the plate put in his collarbone to get that patched up. So he's, got around less than 2 weeks to get somewhat healed up to at least attempt to start Daytona. We'll see if, we were talking about like, can he get another waiver or not? But I don't know if that's possible, but definitely, try to just start the race and first caution, hop out and, have a backup driver, come in and pick up for him as he, heals up and everything. But yeah, what a, really bizarre but unfortunate deal there in victory lane to, slip, just, off the window net into, bust your ass on the ground like that. But you got to be really thankful to only come away with that from that with a broken collarbone there, because it definitely looked really bad from the angle that we saw. So of course, on the irony of all of this is that the driver he basically beat to win this race, SVG, had this happen, broken collarbone happen to him back in 2021, and they patched him up there, and then he was just on a crap ton of painkillers there to win at Sandown. So we'll see how many painkillers he's on for the next couple of races there. So we'll see how that happens. But it is a bit of a damper though on what's been an incredible season for him so far in his rookie year here in the Xfinity series. So yeah, it's definitely something to see there. So we'll have to see how he feels in the next couple of days, and what the decision is, I guess, for Junior Motorsports and for Trackhouse to get him out there to compete for the regular season title against his teammate there and Justin Allgaier. But yeah, the incident there with SVG, that was a really interesting deal because you saw SVG just use every way to hold him back from passing him there, and it seemed like I think at some point he was just going to get around him there, but he probably could have waited, just let him have the spot back and just try again, in turn 1 or in the chicane there to get him back. But I guess they're really wishy-washy on whether it was intentional or not. But I think it was just a matter of just aggression there and just trying to get back in line and everything to get behind SVG, but I think also we've actually kind of seen this before from Connor Zilisch at if you've seen like Back in the Car story, he's had some moments kind of similar to this, but I mean it could be that's his driving standard in a way, but SVG, I mean, that was definitely pretty hard impact there as well. Got sent into the wall, and saw the car, 3 or almost all wheels come off the ground there. So it was pretty tough impact there, and he had just otherwise wasn't as handling as well there to overcome Connor Zilich's challenges there. So of course Zilisch under pressure from Austin Hill there and everything to get around SVG. So that was definitely, I think probably like something happening between them was probably inevitable. When you ever have two cars that are just really good, two drivers who race each other really well, I think that's definitely can be a result sometimes where you're just fighting so hard, and eventually you just one of you guys just ends up taking one or the other out. So I think that's just a matter of kind of a racing deal in a way there. So we'll see, I guess, in future events, what the dynamic, and even into the Cup Series, what the dynamic is between SVG and Zilisch there. But for Austin Hill there, who was running third, of course, next caution goes and bumps out the 88 out of the way to briefly take the lead there. Of course, big incident there with Michael McDowell off the carousel, and just try to pass him on the outside, and then trying to get back onto the racetrack after being on the runoff. Just makes contact with McDowell and sends him into the Armco barrier, and then big one happening, kind of similar to what we saw in 2014. Ryan Newman, who collected Michael McDowell in that incident there, very similar incident, just clogging up the racetrack there and everything. And I mean, what I'll say about that is, maybe it was obviously probably not intentional, but it's more of having the awareness, right, to not cause an incident like that, and being more aware to not get into an incident after you've come back from suspension there. And the way that he got suspended, of course, obviously very bad, egregious at Indianapolis, and then coming back from that and causing just an even bigger mess there for the rest of the field, and destroying equipment there that other people are gonna have to spend money to go and fix. I mean, it's just really really bad to have that happen, and just shows the lack of awareness that Austin Hill has, beyond racing at Talladega, or racing at Daytona or Atlanta. Just isn't just not a guy that has really good racecraft to begin with. So it's unfortunate for other drivers, and glad that nobody else got hurt in that. Definitely ruined a lot of the races for guys like Tanner Gray got the tire. I think he hit a tire or something, and or is the one of the Gibbs cars that was in that deal just had the tire of McDowell land on their windshield and just completely destroy their car. Yeah, Zilisch. Yeah, so Zilisch had a good run, and he had a in what's been a bad season, the tire just landed on the windshield there, which that's been pretty bad. And then you have guys that the spotters can't see, and then everybody just runs in the back of each other. So just unnecessary there. And I mean, just you lost the corner. I mean, you have an opportunity in the next couple of corners, and everything, just let them go and try again, and everything. But just thought you could hold it there on the outside and everything, but you run out of room because the wall is coming right out at you, and then you have to merge back in, and you just clip the 11 there and take him out. I mean, just not great form there. So otherwise, I mean, Zilisch, I mean, if it weren't for the injury, I mean, we'd already be talking about possibility of him winning the regular season championship. But I do think with this, it does kind of put that into question a little bit. But I think they're definitely working on a contingency plan to, get him to, at least try to attempt the races so he still gets credit for the points.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how they're going to handle that. I mean, it reminds me of, it really speaks to the 1992 Davey Allison would win, and what was it, Mac Reynolds would go and say they'd either win or crash. In his case, he's finishing top 5 every week, winning a lot, and getting in his teammates, which, at least with Allgaier, is probably not going to be a good thing. SVG, I think they have a good enough relationship where they can handle it, and they're going to be teammates for the foreseeable future. So, because SVG signed an extension, we figure Connor's going to be in the third Trackhouse car next year. So, it's unfortunate with the injury, of course, and it's only 7 points. And what's also interesting is Sam Mayer's only 24 points behind. With the issues that Allgaier's had recently, Zilisch missing a race, Sam Mayer is definitely in play to possibly get a regular season title, which would be crazy, considering how good the 88-7 have been all year. That one of them wouldn't win the regular season title. I mean, in terms of the owners' points, I think the 88 is well out front. Hey, I'm curious also, because road racing, I think they'll want him to, be competitive so he can run the race at Portland. I think that would be the position so that they can possibly go and get a win. They have 3 races 3 weeks in a row: Daytona, Portland, and then Gateway to end the regular season. Bristol, so they have 4 consecutive weeks, because then you have Bristol night race before an off week. So it's contingency plans to try and figure out what they can do. 3 races left in the regular season, actual battle for the regular season title. The points, and right now Zilisch, most wins, or 5 wins, sorry. He has 6 wins total in his career, 5 wins this year. Allgaier in second, Mayer third. That's the battle for the points. There's only 8 drivers that have won. Carson Kvapil looking pretty solid. Creed and Gray, I would say, also are probably okay. Harrison Burton has made a huge progress these last few weeks on the points to now be plus 30 going to Daytona, which of course he won the Coke Zero 400 last year. So he likes super speedways. His dad's won that race too, so be an opportunity there for him. Jeb Burton, of course, is great at super speedways, basically the only place he's good at. So he's going to need to win. Him and Sieg are the only ones that I think are in play points wise. Everybody else would have to go and get a win. Trucks ran in a demolition derby, the Mission 176 at the Glen. A lot of new drivers, different drivers. Got some, and there's more to announce for this coming weekend at Richmond. But in this race, it was a battle between really Corey Heim and Chris Bell driving the Halmar Friesen truck. And Corey Heim won the pole, won the first stage, led the most laps, and got a victory, his 17th Truck Series win of his career. So great. I mean, he's been around, I don't know how many years. The truck race went 81 laps, so it almost went 200 miles. I forget what the scheduled, I think it was supposed to be 72 laps. So they went 9 laps past scheduled. Almost got into the darkness countdown there. Darkness! Daniel Hemrick finishes second, Gio Ruggiero third, Chris Bell fourth, Tyler Ankrum fifth. So 2 Mack and Alley trucks there, along with the 2 Tricon trucks. Sammy Smith sixth, Ty Majeski from 33rd to 7th. Connor Zilisch 14th to 8th, driving for Nice. Matt Mills just behind him. Pretty surprising. Lane Riggs just out rounds out your top 10. Wesley Slimp from 29th to 12th in the other Halmar truck. Andres Perez de Lara had a good truck, but unfortunately wasn't able to finish the deal there. Derek White finished 19th in the Carl Long truck there. Brent Cruz in his first Truck Series started 19th, finished 17th. Christopher Buescher finished 3 laps down and 22nd, involved in one of the many incidents late, along with Chandler Smith. He ran up relatively up front. Ben Rhodes was another one that ran decent and then got destroyed. Chastain there. Tanner Gray, Kligerman, suspension issues, finished 31st. Kyle Busch, steering issues, only ran 13 laps. Caden Honeycutt basically starting parked to keep his championship hopes alive as he driving for Young's before he jumps into the 52 for the rest of the year. Rajah Caruth, issues with his brakes, finished 32nd. So, it was just a destruction derby on Friday. It wasn't a great look in general for the Truck Series, but, Garcia would lead Rhodes at the cutoff by 11 points. Oh, that's interesting. Because Stuart Friesen has not asked for a waiver, and they've basically already said that Honeycutt's going to run the rest of the season, they're essentially saying that he's done. And he is done. There's no fucking way he's going to drive the rest of this year. So essentially now the cut line moves. Honeycutt is tied with Jake Garcia, and it would be those two guys and Ben Rhodes right now 11 points back with only one race to go. So there actually is a little bit of intrigue on this cut line. Or no, Jake Garcia is minus 50. Okay, so he's 11 points ahead of Ben Rhodes. So yeah, there you go. All right, so that would be the battle right there. The two teammates for ThorSport battling for that last playoff spot outside of, whoever, I guess. Enfinger or Majeski or Honeycutt, I think any of them could win. So it really would be that 11 points. It would be interesting. But yeah, Corey Heim gets another win in 2025. We've joked around that he probably could have won every single race this year and it wouldn't have been a surprise, or a vast majority of them. And, I think it's more of a case of what we say this every week. I think it's simple. Is he going to Denny Hamlin this in the playoff, or is he going to close? That's really what this is about at this point, because he's so far ahead of everybody else. It's Corey Heim and the rest of the field. I don't really see who. Maybe the front row trucks, maybe Daniel Hemrick, because he just knows how to points race and he just is that kind of guy who's a championship. He knows how to run for championships and is a championship driver. But what's really going to stop Corey Heim other than Corey Heim, right, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Corey Heim, or something happening to Corey Heim there in the championship here. But, I'll be honest. I only saw, the ending of the race there with, Chris Bell looked like he was going to run away with it. And yeah, Cup driver, driving for, subbing in for Stuart Friesen and everything like that. Thought, that would just take place. And then, guys keep wrecking, things keep happening and delaying the end of the race. And then, they just kept, it's like they couldn't make it through the bus stop there. But, it looked like at first, Chris Bell would win, but then he just didn't have enough fuel to make it there to all the green, white checkers. And then, for Corey Heim, kind of got a comeback there from, kind of being mid-pack and having a chance there at the end to go and win the race. So seems like luck is maybe better on his side. We've seen in the past where he didn't have as much fortune throughout some races, and everything. So I think for Corey Heim, coming through now with where he didn't have the best of fortunes throughout the race, now coming through here and winning, it's definitely looking like maybe things will turn out better for him in the playoffs here. So I mean, it was definitely that ending, like, that was just really bad. And especially, I think it starts getting ridiculous to me, like when guys that were close on fuel to end the scheduled distance end up running out of gas, and then it just kind of completely flips the running order there. That's where, to me, it starts getting ridiculous there and stuff. So Dale Jr. talked about on the download today about possibly eliminating green-white checkers for Xfinity and trucks, but I don't know if that's the right solution or not. But I mean, even Corey Heim, though, the last restart there, did have a challenge from Daniel Hemric, but Hemric wasn't able to get alongside him. Could have had an opportunity to cross him up there in the last corner, coming to the line, coming to the white flag, possibly set him up there for passing him into turn one potentially, like that. But once again, Corey Heim goes out here and wins the race once again. So if he doesn't win the championship, it's just another indictment on the system here with the playoffs. So unless he does it to himself, which I still think it would just be an indictment on the system anyways. But if all things go smoothly and he makes it to the championship four and doesn't win, I mean, it's just really bad. So obviously he deserves a seat up in the Cup Series, which looking like potentially that could be at 23-11, or perhaps maybe even they have to farm him out for a year or two until seat or an opportunity opens up. So we'll have to see. But he's proving he's currently the best driver above everybody else right now in the Truck Series.
And think if Keebler Gibbs didn't have a hard on against him, he could probably be in an Xfinity car, destroying in an Xfinity car for Joe Gibbs Racing, instead of them having to run Bruckshot Jones as their leader, Zilisch and freaking Taylor Gray, who, to be fair, Taylor Gray has not done bad this year. And then, I mean, Zilisch has been garbage for most of the year, but then he's turned it around, and Bruckshot Jones gets his one win and drives around and pays people with the damn Ream sponsorship, basically sponsoring Chris Bell and then having no existence otherwise. But yeah, Keebler Gibbs hates him, so that's why he doesn't have a ride in the Xfinity Series, which is bullshit. But he has 45. I was looking at this because credit to Racing Reference. I appreciate their points table. He has 6 wins. Nobody else has more than 2. He has 11 top 5s. The next closest is 8 for Hemric and Ankrum. Top 10s, he has 13, tied with Daniel Hemric. So maybe Daniel Hemric. I guess, to be fair, I know Daniel Hemric is a championship kind of guy. So the average start, 4.9, which is ridiculous. The next best is Jake RC at 8.5 for a regular. Then average finish is 6.8. And then the next best is Daniel Hemric at 8th place. So Corey Heim tied with Crafton for the most running at the finish. Lead lap finish, he's second behind Daniel Hemric. So I guess I answered my question about who could contend or compete. Now, one thing that Daniel Hemric's not going to be able to fade is the fact that he currently, I mean, before they add the points, because they give the top 10 or top 5 points, right, or something like that. I forget anymore. After the regular season as a bonus. Right now, Daniel Hemric, outside of going and getting another win at Richmond, which is entirely possible, is 40 points behind Corey Heim, playoff points wise. So that's 2/3 of a race, unless he goes out there and gets a clean sweep, wins both stages in the race on Friday night. Just as is 29 points between Heim and Lane Riggs. So, I mean, it is an indictment on the system if he doesn't figure out a way to win this damn title. I mean, it's got William Byron vibes a few years back when he blew up at, I forget what race, and missed the final four and then wins the final race of the season. It was Homestead. I think he blew up at Homestead, or he blew up at Phoenix and then went to Homestead and won, or something like that. Whatever it is, one or the other, whichever track organization. But he had been the best driver in the Truck Series. And I don't even like William Byron, but the fact of the matter is he was the best driver that year. There's other instances. Like, I mean, the Crafton one was, I think, after Corey Heim and Bumblefuck Hocevar. Hocevar ran Corey Heim over, and then they ran, and Heim went and wrecked Hocevar. And I think that was also where former guest of the show, Dawson Cram, spun out with like 2 laps to go or something. Or I might be mixing that up with one of Ben Rhodes' titles, to be fair. But yeah. So right now, yeah, I think the real intrigue is for the last playoff spot, since it looks like Friesen is not going to. They're not asking for a waiver. So essentially, it's Jake Garcia versus Ben Rhodes for a playoff spot. Outside of somebody jumping in, winning behind them. That isn't Rajah Caruth, of course. So if it's somebody that's behind those guys, say Gio Ruggiero, who actually is only 21 points back. So if Gio Ruggiero perhaps goes out there and gets a W, that could go and turn the back end of the playoff on its lid, but we will see. Alrighty, so we gets through IndyCar NASCAR, getting to some NFL training camp talk. First preseason game took place. The Niners had a good first drive with some of the ones, but not a whole lot of ones. So they, otherwise lost to Denver. What's it called? We got some news here. What is that? Rondale Moore knee injury. So that's pretty brutal. Significant right knee injury. Dash and punt on his first snap and suffering being tackled on the sideline. So no Jordan Anderson for 3 games, no more than his job first in with hamstring. Yeah, so yeah, they're not in good shape wide receiver wise. And then of course you have new quarterback there. Josh, you had the debut.
Jacksonville and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh went out there. And what were your thoughts on what you saw and what you got out of some of your Travis Hunter, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, real quick on that, I mean, looked like at least the offense had an identity this time. I mean, looks like the passing concepts kind of built off of each other, and they were able to run a jet sweep that I think they can build off of and run multiple plays out of that formation. So on 4th down, they ran that, so that's good. There on that first drive with the starters, Travis Hunter, of course, all eyes were on him for that event, but I mean, he had 2 catches, had one that was nullified due to penalty there. Last catch had a bit of try to turn around and go, but he slipped and got tackled there. So, he'll have to work on that to, outrun an NFL defender rather than a college defender there. For me, on defense, saw him a couple of reps there on defense, was able to cause a coverage sack, great coverage when he was, covering a wide receiver, but there's, a couple snaps where trying to get the tackle on running back, missed on that. So that's going to be the interesting part there. I think it's not really the stamina, it's whether he can, sustain the hits, I guess, when you're, wide receiver getting, hit going over the middle or, coming down with the ball versus, playing defense and having to make a decision on whether you have to tackle a player like Derrick Henry or not. So we'll see how that goes. But which thankfully Derrick Henry is not in the division anymore, so that's good. But overall, solid debut there. But I think the real takeaway is the kicker for the Jags with the 70-yard field goal before half, which that could have been at least a 72. I think he had enough, a couple more yards on it, maybe even 75. But I've been seeing, people talk about in warm-ups, he's been able to hit it from 70 yards in warm-ups. So I'm not really surprised by it, but glad that the protection held up, to be able to do that there. And glad that he was able to make that. And of course, the fact that, it's preseason, so it doesn't actually count. Come on, man. It's a 70-yard field goal. It should be an NFL record, but it won't be officially a NFL record. But the Jacksonville, we might have the best special teams in the league. I'll just say that with the kicker and the punter back there. I think we have a good case to bring up that we have the two best kickers in the league sitting here in Jacksonville. But it does open up the possibility, half. I don't know if they do it like in the middle of a quarter, but end of half, right? Oh well, they only need to get to. They don't even have to get even to midfield. They literally like the 45-yard line. They can kick a field goal from there, right? That's insane. So, they got that going for them where, we only need to get like 5 yards, kick a 70-yard field goal before half or into the game. I think that's huge if you only need to do that, not like, your target line's like need to get to like the 35-yard line of the other team to make a field goal. So, looking forward to, seeing if they're able to place that out on strategy and be able to work that to their advantage where he can make big kicks like that. So I'm glad to see Cam Little getting recognition from all over the league on that play.
Yeah, to have that good special teams in your division, I think is going to be key because a lot of close games, especially against Houston. Indy's probably going to suck, but whatever. And then Tennessee, who knows what Tennessee's going to be. So having that good special teams could be a difference in them making the playoffs or not this year, in the AFC. So something to watch there. For the 49ers, most of their wide receiver core is injured. Jordan Watkins gets hurt after, a couple of good plays. Ayuk is not expected back until week 6. You got Demarcus Robinson will be suspended. Juwan Jennings hasn't practiced with a calf injury. So Pearsall right now is basically going to be the one, and I think George Kittle is going to be getting a lot of run compared to what they usually seem to do. Shanahan, he's going to have to throw the ball to him to make it, reasonable. Some of the DBs like Upton Stout injured a calf, but he's been playing really, really well. The offensive line is a point of contention, which wouldn't be the 49ers without them having that problem because they ignore it seemingly every effing year because they're morons. I also, you got Jeff Wilson Jr. getting signed to be one of the backups again after returning. So that'll be interesting. See how he's able to provide an additional body in the running back room behind CMC. Defense in the one series, or they played against the ones for Denver and were able to get a couple of sacks on Denver there. So, Chris Kosuric, Chris Kosuric, and then Bob Sala back. all gas, no brakes defense. That defensive line looked like it had a lot of energy. They keep on adding pieces there. So I think, like I said last week, they're going to take a step forward towards what they usually have been over the years under the Shanahan regime when they've been good on defense. And I think that'll make things a lot better for them, even with a dearth of skill position talent, the offense not looking as solid minus, Brock and GK at the moment and Pearsall. Not really sure, can't say what CMC is going to do, how long he's going to last. I really don't know. Same thing for Trent Williams, to be fair. And he basically, his productivity and being out there is what's going to determine whether or not that offensive line is functionality. But yeah, so there's other battles on the roster, of course, roster spot. I think the depth is going to be something we're going to have to always keep in mind, because it's always been a problem for the 49ers since they seem to get hurt, have players get hurt all the effing time. And in this division, considering Stafford is hurt, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Seattle's on a, kind of a pseudo rebuild with Sam Darnold as their quarterback and a lot of new parts. And then Arizona's Arizona. So even though they do have some good players there, like McBride, they're not that great. So there is an opportunity in this division with a decent season to go and make a playoff push if they can keep things together. So that's something that the Niners have to keep in mind after missing the playoffs last year. Usually when they miss the playoffs one year, they bounce back very well the next. And it would be a great year to go and bounce back and make a real run, because Super Bowl 60 is in Santa Clara. So we'll see about that. And fantasy, before we go into the roundup, we're going to have our draft. And of course, one of the things, we don't have kicker, we don't have team defense, we have individual defensive players. So it puts the additional piece of having to look at some of the best defensive linemen, some of the best DBs, and of course linebackers, which, green dot linebackers, that's what, we're all going to probably try to get. Or you can either do that, or you can take rush linebackers to get sacks. So I have to make some adjustments on the scoring. I have to remember to do that. But the IDPs are there. You have those other things. The tight end is not a mandatory. It's a flex spot. So for those that want to go and draft Kels, if they so choose, or if they want to draft GK or Brock Bowers or insert tight end here, you can. Or you can sign one on the waivers after the draft in lieu of a wide receiver or running back. The quarterbacks, of course, with a super flex in our league, the draft goes completely haywire compared to the usual draft. The run on quarterbacks is early, and because you're trying to at least get one decent one or pretty good one before you go and hedge on a backup guy, which you want to be able, if you can get two decent quarterbacks, you're putting yourself in a good position. I'm trying to remember who I had last year, but I should. Well, I'll let you talk about what your thoughts are for the league. You've been, as we always say, or most of the time since we've done the show, you've been one of the more competitive guys in this league, and it is a deep league, tough league. So one of your two that you compete in, you compete in a work league as well. So different things you have to do for this one compared to the other one, for sure.
Yeah, this one obviously got to stay on top of things. I think it's just going to come down to picking the right running back and the right quarterback. I think that'll get you really far, if you're able to do that. No telling who's going to be available and everything. know the draft order is going to be reverse order, right? Or is it randomized reverse order? Okay. Yeah. So, it's just going to come down to that, having the availability and picking the right defensive players at the end and everything. Wide receivers as well. I mean, it's always going to be like doing the trendy thing and picking a wide receiver first round, but I feel like that doesn't. Well, maybe in our league it might work, but I feel like it's probably whoever, everybody's going to, as soon as one guy picks a QB there, everybody's going to pick a QB, and then, everybody's going to pick a running back and, everything. But I'm just going to go by, positional value, I think, and fantasy value, accordingly, and just try to go, best player available, or anything, or even go, on a player that is overlooked in fantasy but ends up breaking out because of the way the scheme is, or something like that. So I mean, and it was very, very broad based and generalized and everything, but just try to draft the best team possible and all that. And then I guess strategy for the season, I mean, obviously start the best players and all that, but I gotta try to be more active in the waiver wire and doing trades and stuff. So I feel like I always tend to hold on to the best players, but even guy like you draft like last, like you don't have to like keep him just because you picked him up. I mean, they're not worth, late rounders aren't really worth keeping unless like they turn out to be really good. So just make the move, if you need to part ways, or try to offer up a trade there. So that'll be something I'll potentially look at here, throughout the years, to try to actually use some of that free agent budget and do some wheeling and dealing if I need to.
Yeah, it's something where there are certain guys that are always on the waiver wire. Me, I pretty much, it's just a part of how I've played forever, and you always have to look. In my mind, you're always having to look to improve, and not just improve for that week, but improve for later on in the season, right? So draft is one piece, and it's fun, and it's definitely intense for that hour and a half, but it doesn't truly determine your final result. You have opportunities through trades, through waivers, through whatever, and that's another thing. Waiver budget, doing that's different from most leagues, which also adds an additional piece of strategy to the deal, and it makes it fun. We're, 18 years into this league, so and it's grown to this 10-man league, and it's very competitive, deep. Even the players that may not theoretically be the most well-known can go out there and get a win. So it's something I love. I mean, look, I love football. If you've listened to the show long enough, you know that we both love football, and fantasy football is great too. And so we'll definitely be talking about it. So we'll talk about it next week as well, what happened and what we thought about our drafts accordingly on the GSP. So yes, let's go into the roundup. Try to keep it simple as I can. Supercars. Oh wow, Team 18 is gonna have Craig Lowndes in a super cheap auto car. So 2-year contract, so 2026. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Committee General Motors will allow Team 18 to replace AAA to Team 18 wildcard at Ryko. Interesting. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Also back to Team 18, what number and all that. Yeah, that would be something. Probably could throw back to one of his numbers, like 015 or something, like he ran back in the Holden race, the Holden dealer team days, but the legend Craig Lowndes, of course, in a lot of ways like the Jeff Gordon of supercars, to NASCAR Cup. So Brock Feeney continues to lead the points. He has 12 wins and 13 poles, so he's well out in front. Good battle for second, 10 points between Matthew Payne and Will Brown, the defending series champion. Cam Waters in fourth, Mostert fifth, Brody Kostecki in sixth, Anton DePasquale, Andre Heimgartner, Ryan Wood, and Thomas Randall, your top 10. Kai Allen has last driver with double-digit points at the moment. So the winners at Ipswich was Brock Feeney in races 1 and 3 and Will Brown in race 2. Yeah, I guess Brock Feeney is going to win this championship unless it's kind of the same situation as like Corey Heim at this point. And let us move forward to Indy next. It was interesting qualifying on Saturday for the Indy next. Based on the practice, they have split qualifying, and they base that on, they go and take each side of the grid. So whoever is the fastest goes and gets the whatever 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then the other side is 2, 4, 6, 8, blah blah blah. So go through, get a results in the race. Dennis Hauger goes out and makes a great start. Makes a huge pass and turn in the festival chicane there, and passes pole sitter Kyle Collette, his championship rival, goes off and leads the entire race. Miles Rowe qualified second and finished third. So Hauger, Collette, Rowe, Callum Hedge, Salvador D'Alba, your top 5, Niels Coulin in sixth, Michael D'Orlando making his first start of 2025. The New York State driver finishes 7th after starting 16th. Jordan Missig, Juan Manuel Correa, and Lockie Hughes rounding out your top 10. Josh Pearson just outside there. Jack William Miller had a incident in qualifying, started not dead last, was able to move up to 13th. And so the points now, Rookie of the Year locked up for Dennis Hauger. 54-point lead on Kyle Collette with 2 races to go on ovals. Lockie Hughes in third, Miles Rowe 22 points back in fourth, Josh Pearson in fifth. Salvador D'Alba is with 16 points back behind Pearson. And they're Hedge, Coulin, Jack William Miller, Jordan Missig. Those at 8th through 10th is close there, so we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks at Milwaukee. Hauger, of course, already has that locked up. 122-point lead on his teammate Lockie Hughes there. So, going to look to get the double. Hauger, of course, probably is going to get locked out of an IndyCar ride, even though he's plenty capable of having an IndyCar ride. We will move to Moto 2 because championship standings in Moto 2 going into this weekend's race. They show, that's nice. They actually put the positions from the last 3 races on there. Manuel Gonzalez, 25-point lead on Aaron Canet. Barry Baltus, third. Morera, Dixon, Anku Aegis. Joe Roberts in 10th after our Trackhouse planning a swoop for American Moto 2 star. That would be good. Joe Roberts, coming off of winning the race at the Czech Grand Prix last time out. So momentum in his favor here. First, 6th, and 5th the last 3 rounds. So he's got good momentum. Baltus also has some good momentum. A couple of second place finishes in the last 2 races. So see how that goes in the Moto 2 category. And then we will have NHRA at Brainerd this coming weekend. It's going to be a couple of new drivers or returning drivers this last race before the playoffs start for the NHRA. You're going to have, Menard's on the Buddy Hull car. Bobby Bodie. Interesting new sponsors. Name's Jordan Vandergriff. Oh, wow. Jordan Vandergriff going from TV to driving Sean Reed's car. Wow, that's a good deal for him. Want to go into the entry list and stuff out of curiosity for the Lucas Oil Nationals. So they do have meet your favorite drivers, driver info, entry list. So no pro stock motorcycle, mountain motor pro stock, top alcohol dragster, no pro mod. Okay, top fuel motorcycle is there. So, all right. So in top fuel, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cars. This week, Jordan Vandergriff will be driving the Reed, Sean Reed car. You have Ida Zederstrom there. A couple other guys there. Billy Torrance actually making a start this week. I guess Tony Schumacher will come back at Indianapolis, and that's also Jasmine Salinas will be coming back at Indianapolis. So 16 cars in funny car. Bobby Bodie will be making a run at it this weekend. You have Hagan signed a multi-year extension to stay with TSR and Dodge field, and then in pro stock, a little deeper field here. 20 cars in this field. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 Mustangs. Of course, some of them they actually are powered. Fernando Quadra's Mustang is actually powered by a Ford engine versus his brother Christian, who has a Chevy engine. I don't know what DRCE is, but that's pro stock. The points in right now in top fuel, the top 5 have clinched countdown berths. Brittany Force pretty sure she'll be getting in there. As it stands right now, I think there's really only going to be 9 drivers in the playoff, because Sean Reed's not going to be able to run because of his injuries, unfortunately. Tony Stewart 48 points behind Sean Langdon right now before this race, and then they'll have 2 and Indianapolis, of course, before the reset. Proc, Hagan, Beckman, the only 3 that have locked into the funny car points. Caps and Paulie are probably going to do so this coming weekend. Cruz Pentragon's only 2 points behind Alexis DeJoria. Chad Green 17 points behind DeJoria, 18 points behind Tasca. So there's actually a really good battle there on the cut line there for the funny car category. Pro stock, 5 cars I've already locked in. Would think that Aaron and Greg Stanfield, Jed Coughlin Jr. all lock in soon enough. Dallas Glenn 37 points out of his teammate Greg Anderson there. And pro stock motorcycles, 6 riders have already locked in. Herrera 70 points out of his teammate Richard Gadsden, 122 out of Matt Smith. Gianna Evaristo, Bostic probably will lock in at Indian. I think without whoever this Braden Davis or one of these other people having a big run, I figure that top 10 is what it's going to be. All right, so let us move forward into Cup and Trucks, to the Truck Series race. The Eero 250 at Richmond. The entry list 37 for 36, so somebody will be going home. You have Brent Cruz driving the 1 for Tricon. Nobody announced in the 02 as of yet. For Young's, Clayton Green in the Reum number 2. Norm Benning. Sammy Smith will be in the 7 for Spire. Christian Eckes making a return to the trucks in the number 16 for McAnally Hilgeman. Stephen Malazzi making a start for Ray Ooms. Matthew Gould driving for Nice Motorsports. Andres Perez de Lara in the number 44 for Nice. Bailey Curry in the number 45. Caden Honeycutt driving the 52 for Almar Friesen. Luke Fenhouse in the 66 for ThorSport. Ryan Roulette driving the number 67 for Boyd with VFW on the side. Caleb Costner for Mike Harmon. I think they have auto owners insurance on that truck. Patrick Staropoli driving the 84 for Bruce Cook. Carson Quapple driving a second CR7 truck for Cody Robaugh as a teammate to Grant Enfinger. And Corey LaJoie will be in the number 77 for Spire for the rest of the season there. So a lot of changes. Josh, you had first pick, so I'll go and do this. And I'll just pick Corey Heim and be boring. And then my wild card pick for this weekend will be Carson Quapple, because why not? So there you go. So truck series at Richmond. Phil goes with Corey Heim to win and Carson Quapple wild card. How about you, man?
I'm going to go, I will say, well, you picked Corey Heim, so yeah, I'll say Lane Riggs wins this weekend. And wild card, we'll go with, there's really not a lot of good choices here. You know, that was like the only really good one there. I don't know, we guess we could say Connor Mozak wild card, whatever.
I mean, he is a regular, so, but it's still, you know, he's buried in points, so you would think if he had done something on a road course would be one thing, but he wasn't able to last week. All right. The Cup Series at Richmond last year, of course, was Bald Spot Dylan running over everybody. Cookout 400 at Richmond Saturday night. There's 39 for 40, so nobody's going home. Jesse Love will be in a third RCR car, the number 33. Number 44 probably will be JJ Haley. Trying to see who. Corey Heim will be in the 67 for 2311. Booty Barker on the box. So yeah, those are the two of the three open part-time cars that'll be in this race. So otherwise, your usual suspects. Josh, you get first dibs on this one.
It's a flat track again, which we haven't had really in a while, but well, last week, or yeah, Iowa. But you know, I want to say that Ryan Blaney comes out here and gets the win here at Richmond, which this first NASCAR start came back here in 2012 here at Richmond. And wild card, I'll go with let's see, Michael McDowell is my wild card here.
Wild card, interesting there. And after possible opportunity race last week at Watkins Glen didn't work out too well, but it'd be something if they were able to put it together here on a short track. For me, I am going to go with Chris Bell as my pick for the win. And then, you know, when you consider there's 36, so right now, so yeah, Chris Bell, and I'll pick Josh Berry. There you go. Because let's see, in terms of Chris Bell, it's one of his better tracks, I would think. I mean, he's good at a lot of places. Toyotas have done very well at Richmond over the years. I'd like to pick Chase Briscoe, but I'd rather not, to not bring the bad juju. And then, Josh Berry, this is one of his best tracks, period. So those are the picks for Richmond. We'll see how the car races. I'm sure it won't be amazing, but we'll take the best out of it, night race and the like. Josh, it's time for you to talk about iRacing and everything else going on, gaming and sim segment.
Yeah, I mean, of course, on iRacing, did some Watkins Glen, had the ups and downs there. Had a couple of top fives or so, but then a couple of races where I just lost it. There was couple cup races where I lost it in the bus stop, just hit the curb wrong on the exit, the inner curb on the exit, and then just lost it and pounded the tire barrier there. And then there was one coming off the carousel, just got loose coming off there onto the rumble strip, on the paved runoff there, and kind of lost there and hit the fence there. So but otherwise was able to get in a couple of races on Watkins Glen and run pretty well otherwise between the Cup Series and the trucks. Deciding to do that there, that was pretty good. Did a couple of GR86 races as well at Summit Point Raceway on there. And then it was basically what I did on iRacing for me. Did see some news, I guess, with NASCAR 25, some more screenshots, gameplay. There is I think a video of Corey Heim, Bubba Wallace, and or not Corey Heim, but Riley Herbst, Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick all trying NASCAR 25. Looks like getting closer and closer to that release date, and got more content coming out. Looks good and all that. So we'll see what they're able to with the. I'd like to see like a full gameplay video where you see what it looks like when you're actually playing the game, but they haven't released that yet on there. But NASCAR 25 coming out October 14, 2025 on PS5 and Xbox. There on PC and Steam later, which iRacing Studios developing the game. So looking forward to playing that game and seeing that come out here in the next couple months here and all that. But I did also see in non-iRacing, non-NASCAR 25, but very much sim racing, I guess, IndyCar has a new release on Forza Motorsport on Xbox. So they've, I guess, upgraded the IndyCar on the Forza game there. So a lot of people still play Forza on Xbox. So at least despite no actual IndyCar standalone game, at least in Forza, which is still fairly popular, you have the updated Dallara IR18 there on the road courses and on the ovals there. So a lot of people see on YouTube play NASCAR and IndyCar on there. So at least you got that option if you want to play on that. I guess this week, of course, on iRacing, got the Richmond for Cup and Trucks here. XFinity says that Michigan this week, so that might be an option there. IndyCar Oval at Motegi this week. IndyCar, the IndyCar Fixed Series Road Series at Phillip Island. Interesting pick. And the Arkham Menard Series at Phoenix this week, and the Gen 4 series at trying to see Gen 4 at Dover Motor Speedway there, and then the 87s at Pocono 2009 there, and then the sports car side of things, the IMSA Vintage Series at Daytona. You've got the BMW, or not BMW, the GR86 series at Sebring this week. The GT3 Fixed series at Road America this week. Prototype Challenge at Road America, got iRacing Michelin Pilot Challenge at VIR this week, Production Endurance Challenge at Tsukuba Circuit this week. So, yeah, as always, lots of choices on iRacing there to play with. You're on sports car, Formula car, Formula cars, Formula V at Circuito de Navarra and Formula 1600 there as well. So, between Formula cars and stock cars, oval cars, sports cars, you got lots of choices on iRacing, and the physics obviously pretty good on there, and with multiple Formula One drivers, NASCAR drivers playing it, of course, they've got a lot of credibility, and so hopefully all that kind of coalesces into having a good NASCAR game here in the next couple of months here. So we'll see, how that goes. But yeah, for me, as always, the streams on Twitch TV/UCLR2, you can go there and watch all the streams there. Got the Twitter account at JB Helpline on there, and then of course our YouTube page at Gripship Podcasts on YouTube, and follow our page there and subscribe to our content on there. So yeah, another week of racing here, and we're getting closer to football now, and can't wait for our draft on Sunday, and looking forward to participating in that, and seeing what kind of fantasy team I end up with for this year, at least for the next couple of weeks until the regular season starts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it too, and definitely one of the best parts of the year. I always enjoy that pre-game for whoever is able to show up for the call, and just to kind of BS with friends, and that's what makes the league one of the many reasons why I enjoy the league, of course. So for me, you can find us. Josh mentioned the Gripster Podcast YouTube page. You can find the show on GSP 1428 YouTube page, philipgmatthew.com, and podbean.com. These are all places where you can get the audio feed. You can find me on Twitter at pgmatthew28. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky at pgmgsp28. And yeah, you'll see you next week for episode 279 of the Gripstrip Podcast. Talk about the weekend at Richmond for Cup and Trucks. We'll talk about football, as you said, with the draft and everything, and NFL preseason week 2. MotoGP, NHRA, IMSA GT, and then IndyCar and Indy next. We'll also have previews for Daytona, the Daytona regular season finale for Cup, and then XFinity will be back for first of 4 races in a row. And then, of course, the Tate Fogelman algorithm coming back out at Daytona. Josh, of course, with the sim segment, and anything else that comes up, we'll talk about next week on the GSP. So for Josh, I'm Phil. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting, and we'll see you next time.